Let us observe silence for a moment. Today our speaker is Sister Sandhya Rani from Bangalore City Laws. And I will request Sister Vibha Saxena to preside over the meeting and also invoke the universal prayer and do all the necessary things. Over to Vibhaji.
Yes, thank you, Brother Pradeep ji. In fact, I received a call from Sandhya ji. She's trying to connect. She's having some problem in her laptop. So she has still not connected. We should wait for her.
We can start with the universal invocation. Then
Okay.
we can wait.
Okay. So everybody please stand by for universal prayer. Oh, O hidden life, vibrant in every atom. O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other. Silence for 1 minute. Okay. Good evening, everybody. I welcome you all to this session on the study of Mahatma letters. We are doing Mahatma letter number 53 from the Barker series. And the letter was supposed to be taken by Sister Sandhya Rani, who is a very senior member of the Bangalore City Lodge. I am actually still waiting for her to join. She has just sent me a message that she has some issue with her laptop. So let us give her 5 minutes and then we can see what is to be done.
cleaning or disinfection to dual action mask samples, left spray, right spray.
नंबर 1 के सपने वाली खतरे से खाली नहीं होता.
Okay, I was talking about Sister Sandhya Rani. As I mentioned to you that she is from the Bangalore City Lodge. She joined Theosophical Society in 1991, and she has assisted in translating many books from English to Kannada. So her aim is to spread this theosophical knowledge in the local language. And besides this theosophical work, she is also working as the Assistant General Manager in HUDCO. So I hope her system is okay and she is able to join so that she can share with us her thoughts on letter number 53. Sandhya ji is still not available.
Can she speak with her mobile on her mobile?
Yeah, I spoke to her. I told her. So meanwhile, let me give a background about this letter. What is this letter about? This is actually a very long letter, one of the longer letters, and it was written by Mahatma K.H. to Mr. Sinnett. And in this letter, he is talking about the sins of the brotherhood. So we must not take the literal words, we must understand the meaning behind it. That what are the ways and the methods of the brotherhood? They are very different from the ways that we follow in our ordinary world. And he is, in this letter, he is also giving a reference to Warren Hastings. I'm sure most of you would have read the British history while they were occupying India. Warren Hastings was one of the viceroys. So Mahatma K.H. in this letter, he is likening himself, or he is comparing himself to Warren Hastings. Just like Warren Hastings had to bear the brunt of the anger of whatever he did in India, his work in India, he had to bear the anger of the East India Company when he returned to England. He was the Governor General of the British India. And in the East India Company, he started his career as a clerk in the late 1700s. So in this letter, Mahatma K.H. has made a reference to the company. Company here is referring to the East India Company. And Hastings, he created a lot of judicial and financial reforms here in India. So this brought some prestige to the British people in India, but it was met with a lot of opposition when he returned to England. So though he tried the East India Company to do some good work in India, when he returned to England, there was a lot of opposition. And Mahatma K.H. is just comparing his and the Brotherhood's position to this, to Warren Hastings and the East India Company. So let me just check if Sister Sandhya is joining. Okay, she is not here. So whatever I have studied of this letter, I will share with you. And when she joins, we will ask her to continue with her slides. So because today I was not prepared to be talking on this, so I don't have any slides with me. But as I have given you the intro about this Mahatma letter number 53, this was the background. So Mahatma KH, he says that when we take candidates for chelas, they take the vow of secrecy and silence, respecting every order that they may receive. One has to prove himself fit for chelaship before he can find out whether he is fit for adeptship. Fern is under such a probation. So this is what is written in the letter, that before anybody can prove that whether he is fit for adeptship, he has to prove himself fit for chelaship. So you see, there are two separate positions or levels. First, you are a chela, you undergo probation. When you are accepted, you become an accepted chela, you undergo further training, and then the adeptship comes. So Fern, we know he was the private secretary of Mr. Hume, and he was put under this kind of probation. Further, Mahatma has written in his letter that he had entirely and suddenly reformed after joining the Theosophical Society, and M took him seriously in hand. So he was under probation of Master M. But the worst of all this business is the following. He bamboozled him so well indeed. That means Fern bamboozled Hume. He bamboozled him so well indeed that whereas H did not believe one word when Fern was speaking the truth, nearly every lie he uttered by F was accepted by our respected president of the Eclectic as gospel truth. So Fern was being tested by Mahatma M, and he was interacting or communicating with Hume in such a way that Hume did not believe him when he was speaking the truth, but Hume believed every word when he was not speaking the truth. You see the kind of confusions that were being created. So this is what Mahatma Ji says of respected president of the Eclectic. He was the president of the Eclectic Society. It is impossible for me to try and set him right, since F is M's chela, and that I have no right whatever, either legal or social, according to our code, to interfere between the two. So here is an important thing to note, that when one Mahatma takes on one chela, no other Mahatma can interfere, or he does not interfere. So Fern was the chela, rather he was on probation and being tested by Mahatma M. And so Mahatma KH had no right to try and interfere in their way of testing. So whatever Fern was doing, he was creating confusion in the mind of Hume. And Mahatma KH, he was giving his teachings to Sinnett and Hume. So this was the whole confusion. Now further in the letter, Mahatma KH has written that another of our customs, when corresponding with the outside world, it is to entrust a chela with the task of delivering the letter or any other message, and if not absolutely necessary, to never give it a thought. So this was the common practice. They would just give the letter to a chela or any other member, and he would deliver the letter to these people with whom the Mahatmas were corresponding. And then further he writes in the letter, very often our letters, unless something very important and secret are written in our handwritings by our chelas. Thus, last year, some of my letters to you were precipitated, and when sweet and easy precipitation was stopped, well, I had but to compose my mind, assume an easy task, and think, and my faithful disinherited had but to copy my thoughts, making only occasional blunder. So this is just to understand how the Mahatmas wrote the letters. Earlier, they were being precipitated, but this process was stopped. So whatever was the ways of the Mahatmas, maybe the higher Chauhans, they put a stop to it. So they could not precipitate the letter. So Mahatma Ji would compose the letter in his mind, and then his faithful disinherited. This refers to Master Jewel Kool. He would copy the thoughts and put it on paper. But sometimes there would be a blunder, occasional blunder. So from that year, Mahatma KH was doing his own correspondence. Now, after this, he writes how all this misunderstanding began between Fern and Hume and the communication that took place. So from that year, when this correspondence of precipitating the letter stopped, then he had written this. There was a letter which Mahatma KH wanted to be delivered, and it was given. Mahatma M took it and he made that delivery happen. So how it happened, that occupies a large part in this letter. So Mahatma KH says, the most painful part of our bodily pain is that which is bodiless.
Butler, thanks.
Is Sister Sandhya here? Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So Sandhya ji, welcome to you. And I was just giving the background.
Thank you.
starting
Thanks a
the-
lot. I had major problem now.
Okay, not a problem. Now that you are here, I will hand it over to you so you can take it from here. We were just on slide 1, I think.
Thanks a lot. Please continue and then I'll join. When you come to the main point, okay.
No, so we have covered the background. You may begin now.
Shall I continue? Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, take this letter 53 along with 3 letters. There are 3 letters, 73, 74 and 75. This is the main thing. 3 letters together. In the beginning, all the 3 letters were written by to Synod, mentioning that I have enclosed one letter, that is letter number 74, which was written to Hume. But it is very and this letter was written on 23rd August 1882. We have received all the 3 letters, and in this 3rd letter, he says very clearly, this is very strictly private and confidential. Both. This is private, only 1-to-1, and it is known as confidential also, because not to show it to anybody else. That is what he says. Then this letter has an addendum also. That means to say there is one extra point added to it. First 2 paras was written by KH only. Then the 3rd para was written by M. That too from his own handwriting. That is what it says. At the end, last para was written by him in his handwriting. Can you please show the first slide?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Sandhya ji, just a minute. I'll share my screen.
Mahapatra ji, can you please show first slide?
Vibhaji, are you sharing or
Next.
shall I share?
Sir, you can say share.
Okay.
Second one, next one.
Okay.
It contains the information of chelaship. Of course, yes, chelaship has been explained in several letters, particularly for the chelaship wala. Previous one. Previous slide, please.
This is a first.
Hello, previous slide. This one only. Okay, what the chelaship means was to understand. A chela is under probation, is allowed to think and do whatever he wants, he likes, and he can tell whatever he wants to. And he is having the power and freedom even to blame his guru also. Okay, because he is under probation and full freedom has been given and always is tempted and deceived by appearances also. He will not have exact feeling. In this first phase is probation. Then after passing the probation, one can become a chela. After that, we masters will take him as an adept. All these things are the stages or steps. The path is full of thorns and stones, and there is a long way to go also. He has to be sincere. This is the main qualification. Always sincere in all respects, and he should be true and honest, because he will be deviated from his path. Which is the path? The path is spiritual, not in any of the paths. It's a spiritual to know oneself. He should not yield himself his personality. Always he has to think high. Then Chela's first duty is to hear without anger or malice anything that the Guru may say. He has to be not have any of the anger. He has to hear. That is nothing obeying. That is why 2 years, whomsoever was a Shravaka, it is known as Shravaka. That's the person who is on probation should just listen to what the Guru says for at least minimum 2 years. The option of receiving him or not as Chela can be done only by KH or not having that power. Okay, that capacity is also not given to them. The power is also not given to them. Then remaining masters can test probation during the probation. Whomsoever is a candidate, they can test him, they can tempt, they can examine by all and every means to adopt master's ways, not to our own ways. Why one has to adopt master's means? One has to raise one's hand. Masters are above us. Okay, masters will come down to lift us. We should not ask master to come to our level. We have to go from our level to master level. When they take us as a candidate for chelas, they take vow of sincerity and silence. One should be sincere as well as one should be quiet enough also. Respecting every order they may receive, whatever the Guru gives as order, one has to respect. Then only that probation will be cleared. The candidate is fit to become a chela. Then it is known as adept. Till then, he has to follow whatever the Guru says. He has to hear. That is the main thing. Next comes the methods. There are so many methods between how the KH teaches and how the Master Maurya teaches to a chela. Here, Mr. Fern and Mr. Hume both are Master M's, that is Master Maurya's. Okay, and the system of training training do not differ much, but the conveyance of truth differs. Otherwise, training nothing to do with the candidate. Chela will be there. The method in which they teach the truth only differs, but system of training not differ. Almost is the same. In which respect it is the same means only methods. It can never be opposed in principles of actions. Where the principles are concerned, it is the same and only one. Then personality be sacrificed. Only they have to work for the welfare of the whole humanity. There is no I or selfishness. There is no ego. There is no pride. Nothing else will be there. And Hume and KH both are very humorous. And then this disconcerting bluntness, that is Mr. Maurya. The KH always expresses his genuine feelings. He is not scared, no polish, no pretending, nothing. Okay, he is outspoken. His nature itself is outspoken. That is what it is, their method. Previous slide, please. Slides are different. Previous
Yes.
one again.
Is it that?
Then masters have limited, that is true. Masters, how much ever the candidate does mistakes, how much ever Hume is cursing, and how much Hume is publicizing whatever the information that he gets, he wants to tell to others. He is leaking all the secrecy, he is not following 100%. So to bear him, why masters are bearing Mr. Hume means he has worked day and night for so long. He has worked for the welfare of the, they have got lots of patience, because they say Mr. Hume is very much required for the Theosophical Society. Patience, my best friends. Patience is very much required. To whom? To AP said. And when you have heard of the disrupted conduct of my kid more than ever loved brother, you will clearly see why I come to regret that in testing in Europe of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, I'm not remained in Asia in all the sancta simplicitas of ignorance of your ways and manners, then would be now grinning too. That means to say, whatever that has been told, given the information, one can really laugh. After reading this letter number 53, one even to this day we can laugh. It is the just combination. Number one is H and Hem both can take the candidate as their chelas, but they should not interfere with each other. Here, the entire letter is coming about Fern and Hume. How Fern was cheating Hume and how much lies he was telling him. That is split personality, we say, no, like that. And then his behavior. If we read letter number 53, really we will laugh at it. That is what it says. Then again, Master KH says, the knowledge of tree, they say, no, tree of knowledge of good and evil. A reference was in the Western countries. So that all those information, Jaimel has given one book, that is Reflection on an Ageless Wisdom. In that book, very nicely, she has compiled all the information and she has given. And she says about the KH, all this information, it's very difficult to get it. Then during his student days in the West, eventually he studied in 3 universities: the University of Dublin, Trinity College in Ireland, Oxford University in England, and Heidelberg University in Germany. Be that as it may, he says, even if he had stayed in Asia, ignorant of Western ways, he would be laughing. As the story unfolds in this rather long letter, no doubt Sinnett was inclined to laugh as we are reading it today, or as well, for it is an amusing tale despite all. That is what she has compiled and mentioned. So one should have lots of patience to deal, because he knows how the Western mind thinks, how it deals, and all those things. And then about the Fern. Fern, previous slide, please. Previous slide.
Okay. Some problem developing.
Previous one.
This is this one.
Patience. No, previous one.
Okay.
No, previous
Patience.
one. This one. This is the one. I wonder. Next one. Not this, next. I wonder what you will say when you will have learned the dreadful secret. I long to know it, to be delivered to a nightmare. Were you to meet me now for the first time in the shadowy alley of your Shimla and demanded of me the whole truth, you would hear me tell it to you, most unfavorable for myself. That is what he says. Because most of the times, Mr. Sinnett as well as Mr. Hume, they wanted to know the secret, what Master wants to know, and especially after death. This is the information they wanted to know: life after death, the spirit, and all those things. But Mahatma KH or Mahatma M, they were not supposed to reveal everything to them. That is the main thing. Even he says, even I long to know it. So many things, even they are in the stage of progress, in that evolution, they are in one stage and they have to come forward and know some more thing about it. But he says that it is not true. Whatever you think that I know 100% is again not true. Even we are also learners, but you are only after knowing our phenomena and all those things. But it is unfavorable for myself. That is not favorable. That means to say that I will not give you all the truth, whatever that I know. How much ever I can reveal, I have revealed. With the trust only he has revealed to Sunnat. But again, they are compelled not to reveal completely. Next slide, please. That when we take candidate for Chela, they take the secrecy in silence, respecting every order they may live. One has to prove himself for chairship before he can find out whether he is fit for others. Mess they have prepared for me between them two. That is, Mahatma Hem thought that Fern is really good and he can become a chela like that. So he thinks like that, and whatever, because he had seen master's letters and he was a chela for communicating letters. Whatever the letters masters used to write, he used to do the postman job, and few letters he could write on behalf of masters, and whatever the thought they had, they thought, okay. Then before one can find out whether he is fit for adoption, but actually speaking, Fern failed. He did not even become the chela also. Though he was under probation, he was supposed to become a chela, but he failed in becoming a chela. In between, he lost all the things, and actually he wanted to even quit. He has reached to that level. But what he wanted is, even he wanted all the truths. Even he wanted to be a channel in this. He wanted to beat all and he wanted to come in front. That is what Mr. Fern thought he will become. He will get all the letters. But he failed in that. Then two means. Who two means? Hume and Fern. As they already know from my letter to Hume, Fern did not interest me. He very clearly in letter number 74, very clearly Master KH has written to Hume because he was forced to reply to Hume's letter. So Mahatma KH writes, did not interest me. Whose Fern did not interest me, because if KH was given the opportunity, if Fern had approached KH to take him as a chela, definitely you would have rejected him. Because I knew nothing of him beyond his remarkable faculties, because he had very good faculties. What are the faculties means? He had his power for clairvoyance and clairaudience. He had both clairaudience as well as clairvoyance, and he's still more remarkable tenacity of purpose, strong will and others, etc. Because Fern is very far better and more moral than he was supposed to be. That is what Master says. Because his majority of the character were good, but he had split personality and he knows how to lie and appear good in front of others. That was the thing which he had. But he says, my business is not to interfere in Fern or Hume or Master KH, Master Moria. That is what is. Next slide, please. Next slide, please.
Yes.
Mahapatra ji, next
Yes,
slide.
yes.
It is impossible for me to try. Previous one.
This.
Previous one.
Yes. Okay. That is the previous one.
No.
Huh?
That it is impossible for me. Next one.
Yes, it is impossible for me to try and set him Hume right. This one you want or next?
That it is, this is the one, that it is impossible for me to try and set Hume right. Since Fern is M's chela and that I have no right whatever, either legal or social, according to our code, to interfere between the two. So when Mahatma Maurya has taken Fern as his chela, who is Fern? Fern is the secretary of Mr. Hume. He was working under Mr. Hume. Actually, Mahatma KH is junior to Mahatma Maurya also. So, though he is junior, Mahatma Maurya is senior. And senior has taken, okay, he tried. But Hume also did not follow whatever the conditions or things to be followed to become a chela. Even Hume failed in that respect. But in
Again, she is disconnected for
hey, I have not disconnected. Some
Okay.
connection problem.
yeah.
Hello, can you hear?
Yes, yes.
Interference between the two. Okay, there was in their principle, whom whatever Mahatma Maurya does, Mahatma KH will not interfere. Whatever Mahatma KH does, Mahatma Maurya will not interfere. In spite of that, here it is nothing but interference. That is what we can understand. But still, he was compelled by Mahatma Chauhan to write all these things. That's why Mahatma KH is writing. But still, at this point of time, Hume has become irreparable, I can say. He has reached, so it is, that is why Mahatma KH writes us that it is impossible at this time, okay, impossible for me to try and set him right. This is not the right time. He thinks that he is big, and what he thinks, it's very clearly written. Another of our custom when corresponding with the outside world is to entrust a chela, and if not absolutely necessary, to never give it a thought. Very often our very are written in our class. This is totally different point. Okay, why Mahatma KH writes is so what he expected is and do namaskara. That is what he had expected, but it did not happen. Then in their correspondence, then he writes that why this handwriting, why that handwriting, why he has written, why that person has written, why only that person has given the task of delivering the letter, why not me. Then he expected whatever the information or the principles or the teachings which masters used to give, he wanted everything to be given to him only, not to anybody else. And he made sure that he will, whenever he gets the opportunity, he is to cut Mr. Fern. That is not the right way of doing, but he did to the maximum extent possible because he was his boss and Fern was the secretary of Mr. Hume. Then while writing letters, only if it is very much necessary, absolutely necessary, okay, then only they used to write by using their own hand. Otherwise, they used to precipitate whatever they wanted to convey. They used to think and form one form they used to create in their mind. Then whatever used to come to their mind, that they used to transmit it to the chelas or the disciple or a probation person to them. Then they used to write by reading their thought, only their mind. Everything was in the thought process only. Then only they, majority of the letters was written by them. Very few corrections or anything. If required, only they used to do the correction. Otherwise, nothing. Very rarely, very rare cases, some mistake used to happen. Otherwise, nothing was like that, unless something very important and secret thing, they never gave it to others. They themselves used to write. For example, secret doctrine. Sometimes they themselves sat and wrote the secret doctrine. They went to that an extent, or written in our handwritings by our chelas. Even chelas had the capacity of copying their handwriting. So they used to write as the masters themselves have written. They had that much of capacity. Next slide, please.
Yes.
Thus, last year, some of my letters to you were precipitated, and when sweet and easy precipitation was spared to compose my mind and think, and my faithful disinherited had but to copy my thoughts, making only occasionally a blunder. The blunder used to happen very, very rarely, occasionally, not always. Okay. The last year, some of his letters were precipitated by him, not otherwise. And when sweet and easy precipitation was stopped at one point, because they did not follow what they were supposed to follow, the rules and regulation, so they stopped it. Then, well, I had but to compose my mind, assuming an easy position, and think of my faithful disinherited. That did not come to them directly. Okay, they inherited, they stopped, had but to copy their thought, making only occasionally a blunder. Then the next point says is, you know that notwithstanding his faults, Mr. Hume is absolutely necessary. So far to the Theosophical Society. I grow sometimes very irritated at his petty feelings and spirit of vindictiveness. Always he had the mind of taking revenge. Always he wanted to win like that. Yet withal, that is in addition, I have to put up with his weaknesses. He had a number of weaknesses with him, which lead him at one moment to vex. That is, he was upset himself that it is not yet, and at another that it is already midday. That is what they write. Because Mr. Hume was not that consistent person, we can say. Hume's so many positive qualities were there, at the same time negative. What KH says about Hume in a positive manner is, I sincerely respect Hume for some of his genuine, sterling qualities, as I cannot help blaming for some others. He appreciates at one hand, at the another point he says, I cannot help blaming for some other qualities of Mr. Hume. Then negative quality of Hume is simply furious, jealousy of anyone who receives or from masters, or attention or anything of that sort, then emanating from the masters. Then Master KH tells M, despises Hume thoroughly. Okay, M despises Hume thoroughly. Yet in a case of any real danger, would be the first to protect Hume, because always Master Moria used to protect Hume for the pains and labor given by Hume for the Theosophical Society, because he had done a lot to Theosophical Society. And his negative quality is, Hume never used to keep secrecy, and he wanted to publish everything. And then for Master, and he used to dishonor. He has told masters as they are dishonest, they lie and they're fraud. He went to that an extent to blame the masters. Then KH writes to AP Synod, you know that notwithstanding his faults, Hume is absolutely necessary for Theosophical Society. So masters had tremendous patience in withholding Mr. Hume. Next slide, please.
Yes.
But Mr. Hume's pride and self-opinion, he argues, which, as I was saying, would make puja to him, and he Maurya is not harm or even to vex him purposely. On the contrary, he means now, but his little finger to disabuse him. So he never damaged Master Maurya, though he never abused him. Okay, and when he is having any problem, means he was the first person to go and help him, because he had done lots of good work to spread theosophy. During that time, it was very much required. For that purpose only, Mr. Hume was kept. Then Fern has done but what he was ordered to do, and he holds his tongue because it is his first duty. As I told before, first duty is to just listen, and they have to maintain secrecy. They should not leak out. So they have to keep their tongue tight. That is the first principle. And he has good moral thing also. And compared to Hume, he was better off. That's why few letters even Fern has written from masters, and he was accepted as Chela also. He was under the probation. Next slide, please. But above all, good and faithful friend, do not allow yourself to misconceive the real position of our great brotherhood. Just because Mahatma Maurya took Fern and Hume as his chelas, it doesn't mean to say that great brotherhood is not judging capacity. All those things should not be considered. Okay, great brotherhood is always there, and we all know that the great brotherhood is there on this earth, and it is in Shambhala, that is in China, that is mid Asia, we can say. It is there. So we should have always there. Then the next point is dark and torturous as may seem to your Western mind, the paths trodden and the ways by which our candidates are brought to the great light, you will be. A spiritual path is not just, it is in no way easy. In the same path, really they'll see the light. It is very bright, but one has to go through. What is that one has to go through? That is nothing but our own karma. Whatever that we had done, we have to to do the master work or to come in karma. That is nothing but our personality should. We cannot proceed in this path. Karma, then only we can see the great light, one light. How to see that one great light is through service, through unselfish service to the whole mankind. That is the thing which we have to pass through. In that, so many problems will come. It is very, why me? First and foremost, that questions will come. And then our physical body will also come into the way. All these things we have to forego. Then only that great light can be seen. You will be the first to approve of them when you know them also. One has to know the holistic thing, how this evolution is going on. One has to know about it. Do not judge on appearances, for you may thereby do a great wrong and lose your own personal chances to learn more. So do not judge on appearances, because outside the Fern thinks that is very good. Even Hume pretends that he is the best. All these years he has really whatever he used to tell, but he has another person through a chela. By default, that letter went to T. Subbarao. Then he thinks that he posts. Then it will go to Hume, the Fern. Then that Fern wanted to give it to Hume. Instead of giving to Hume, he thought he will keep it in a handkerchief. Then he will keep it, because by the time he was upset with Hume. Then while taking the handkerchief, then when Master Hume asks, "Oh, I have not kept it. It is not me." It have the guilt feeling. Why means because the paper hanky. That is what it is. So on face they appear one. Why means masters can read their mind and their intention. What is the main intent? Intention matters a lot. Here the intention matters, not the outside appearance. So before judging, don't judge by seeing the outside appearance. That is what it gives a hint, and it is nothing but a teaching which was given to Epicynid by Master KH. Only be vigilant and watch. So what one has to do is one should be always vigilant and just watch by keeping one's mouth shut. That is what one is supposed to do. That is what he has given the teaching in this letter. Thanks a lot. With all sorts of disturbances, I could express only this much. Thank you very much for giving me. Is there any question regarding all these slides? Please ask.
Sister Sandhya ji, thank you for joining despite all the network disruptions which were happening. You have still shared your thoughts with us on this
Yeah.
letter 53. So thank you very much. I request anybody who wants to share their thoughts on this letter or would like to ask any query, please unmute yourself and you may put your question.
Thank you very much for talk on the letters. Very nice. I'm Bhagwan Bharwani from Karachi, Pakistan.
Right. Thank you, sir. Okay. Any
Okay.
other questions?
Anybody else?
Let Minakshi be explained.
Okay. So Meenakshi ji, I request you to please translate this in Hindi.
Meenakshi, please add that egoistic.
Yes. Namaste. Thank you, sister. आज हम लेटर नंबर 53 ले
Please
रहे
switch,
हैं.
come on the video. वीडियो में आइए आप.
वीडियो शुरू हो गया.
She is in the video.
Yes, I am. आज हम लेटर नंबर 53 ले रहे हैं जो कि मास्टर के एच एपिसिनेट को लिखते हैं अगस्त 1882 में. इस पत्र में शिष्यत्व के विषय में जानकारी है और महात्मा लेटर 113, 30 और 53 को यदि गहराई से पढ़े तो इसमें हमें दो महात्माओं के बीच का गहरा संबंध और साथ ही उनकी शिष्यों के प्रशिक्षण की कार्य पद्धति में भिन्नता नजर आती है. ह्यूम के साथ व्यवहार में महात्माओं की असीम सहनशीलता दिखाई देती है. इस पत्र के कुछ महत्वपूर्ण पॉइंट्स इस प्रकार है कि मास्टर के एच सीनेट को धैर्य रखने के लिए कहते हैं. वे कहते हैं कि मास्टर एम का आचरण आपको अशिष्ट लगता है क्योंकि उन्होंने यूरोप में रहकर वहां के तौर तरीके नहीं सीखे हैं. वे उससे अनभिज्ञ है, इसलिए धैर्य रखिए. शिष्यत्व के संबंध में मास्टर कहते हैं कि आकांक्षियों को हम शिष्य के रूप में चुनते हैं तब उन्हें मिलने वाली हर एक आज्ञा, जानकारी या आदेश के प्रति सम्मान करते हुए वे गोपनीयता और मौन रहने की शपथ लेते हैं. अर्हत पद प्राप्ति के लिए उपयुक्त होने से पहले उन्हें शिष्यत्व के लिए उपयुक्तता साबित करनी होती है. मास्टर कहते हैं कि इसी तरह फर्न जो कि एओ ह्यूम के सेक्रेटरी थे वह प्रोबेशन पर है. उसकी असाधारण क्षमताओं के अलावा फर्न में मुझे दिलचस्पी नहीं है, ऐसा मास्टर कहते हैं. उसमें कुछ असाधारण अतीन्द्रिय शक्तियां हैं जैसे कि अतीन्द्रिय दृष्टि और अतीन्द्रिय श्रवण शक्ति और किसी उद्देश्य प्राप्ति के लिए विलक्षण दृढ़ता और इच्छा शक्ति आदि। फर्न मास्टर एम के शिष्य होने के कारण हमारे नियमानुसार मुझे उन दोनों में किसी भी तरह के हस्तक्षेप करने का कोई अधिकार नहीं है, ऐसा मास्टर कहते हैं। आगे मास्टर कहते हैं कि हमारी कार्य पद्धति अनुसार भौतिक जगत से पत्र व्यवहार करते समय हम हमारे शिष्य पर किसी संदेश या पत्र को पहुंचाने का कार्य सौंपते हैं। यदि कोई पत्र बहुत महत्वपूर्ण और गोपनीय न हो तो अक्सर हमारे पत्र हमारी लिखावट में हमारे शिष्य लिखते हैं। इस प्रकार से पिछले साल आपके लिए मेरे कुछ पत्र शीघ्रता से व्यक्त किए गए और बाद में कुछ पत्रों के समय मेरे शांत मन से सहज स्थिति में विचार करने पर मेरे निष्ठावान शिष्य ज्वालकुल मेरे विचारों को पढ़कर उन्हें लिखते हैं, जिसमें कभी कभार एकाध गलती हो जाती है। मास्टर कहते हैं कि ह्यूम की गलतियों के बावजूद वे टीएस के लिए निश्चित रूप से जरूरी है। उनकी क्षुद्र भावनाओं से और प्रतिशोध की भावनाओं से मैं कभी कभी बहुत कष्टप्रद होता हूँ, फिर भी मुझे उनकी कमजोरियों को झेलना होगा। मास्टर एम का कहना है कि ह्यूम का अहम भाव और खुद के बारे में विचार इस तरह से है कि जैसे मनुष्य जाति के दो घुटने सिर्फ उनके सामने झुकने के लिए ही है, उनकी पूजा करने के लिए है। मास्टर के एच कहते हैं कि मास्टर एम उसमें उलझेंगे नहीं, वे जानबूझकर उन्हें नुकसान पहुंचाने या परेशान करने के लिए कुछ नहीं करेंगे। इसके विपरीत वे ह्यूम का सदैव रक्षण करेंगे, जैसे कि उन्होंने पहले भी किया है, लेकिन उनके दोष दिखाने के लिए उंगली तक नहीं उठाएंगे। फर्न को जो भी आदेश दिए गए थे उसका उसने ठीक से पालन किया। उसका मौन रहना यह उसका पहला कर्तव्य है। मास्टर सिनेट से कहते हैं कि मेरे अच्छे और सच्चे मित्र हमारे महान सिद्ध संघ की वास्तविकता, इसके बारे में खुद को संभ्रमित न करें। जिस प्रकार से हमारे कैंडिडेट्स को दिव्य प्रकाश की ओर लाया जाता है, वह मार्ग आपके पाश्चिमात्य मन को अंधकार में कठिन, जटिल, विकट प्रतीत होगा, लेकिन जब आप सब बातों से ज्ञात होगे तब आप स्वयं उसका स्वीकार करेंगे। ऊपरी दिखावों के आधार पर अपनी राय न बनाएं, क्योंकि ऐसा करने से आप बड़ी गलती करेंगे और ज्ञान हासिल करने के आपके व्यक्तिगत अवसरों को खो सकते हैं। आप सिर्फ जागरूक रहे और देखें। यदि ह्यूम धीरज रखने में सहमत होते हैं तो उनके पास अब तक की तुलना में आलोचकों को चुप कराने के लिए कई अधिक असाधारण प्रसंग होंगे। फिर बाद में मास्टर कहते हैं कि याद रखें कि नवंबर का महीना बड़ा संकट काल का है और सितंबर खतरों से भरा होगा, क्योंकि इस समय टीएस का सप्तवर्षीय प्रोबेशन काल नवंबर में खत्म होने पर था। इस विपदा की परिस्थिति से हमारे बीच का व्यक्तिगत नाता बचा रहे, ऐसा मास्टर सिनेट को कहते हैं। वे आगे कहते हैं कि मानसिक दृष्टि से देखा जाए तो फर्न एक विचित्र व्यक्ति है। वह एक अनाकर्षक सीप की गहराई में छिपा एक मोती की तरह है, जिसे हम असमय तोड़ भी नहीं सकते हैं और जिसे हम खोने की जोखिम भी नहीं ले सकते। लास्ट में मास्टर कहते हैं कि ह्यूम से आप खुद का भी बचाव करें और फर्न का भी बचाव करें। धन्यवाद। नमस्ते।
Thank you, Sister Meenakshi ji. That is very well translated. And I will once again request if anybody has any questions, you may please unmute yourself and ask. Okay, in case we don't have any more thing to discuss, then we will be concluding the meeting for today. So please stand by for the closing prayer. Om Asito Ma Sadgamaya Tamso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Sarvesham Swastirabhavatu Sarvesham Shantirabhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Lokaha Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Thank you all for participating.
Thank you.
So with this, we conclude today's meeting, and the next program on this platform of Indian section will be held tomorrow. Am I right, Mahapatra ji?
Yes, yes, tomorrow at 7 p.m.
Tomorrow at 7 p.m. we will be hosting the first meeting for the youth. So it is a program on youth series.
It will be on the same link.
Yes.
Same link.
Same
Same link.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Namaste.
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 Namaste.